also bringing in some legal consultants from some high-profile firms in Silicon Valley.
Only 24 hours.
I didn't agree to that.
Only 24 hours.
24 hours is like 3 weeks.
Y'all know me. Y'all know how I earn a living. I'll catch this broad for you, but it ain't gonna be easy. It's a bad bitch. Not like going down to social media and chasing down Jack Dorsey's or Zuckerberg's. Now this is what Visky shall swallow your channels whole. Restrictions, demonetizations, and down you go. Now we gotta do it quick. Gotta bring back all your rightful subscribers and convert them to mug clubbers on a paying basis. But it's not gonna be pleasant. I value my channel a whole lot more than $3,000, Chief. I'll find her for 3. But I'll bring my half-Asian lawyer and sue her for 10. Now you gotta make up your minds. You wanna keep your channels alive and ante up. You wanna play it cheap? You'll be on Minds.com and Gab the whole winter. I don't want no GoFundMes. I don't want no Patreons. There are too many damn whiny conservatives on this platform. $10,000 for me and my half-Asian lawyer, Bill Richmond, by ourselves. For that, you get the head, the schnoz, the whole damn thing.
Thank you very much, YouTube Quint. We'll take it on advisement.
Mr. Mayor, Chief, ladies and Z's.
Louder with Crowder Studios, protected exclusively by Walther and Hopper.
That's called the evil villain who can't contain himself because his plot is so evil.
He is good.
I want to be calm and collected, but it's difficult. I want to take over the world. Because this show is amazing today. We have Daniel Cormier.
Yes!
One of the best athletes on the face of the planet right now. You could argue someone else, but it'd be pretty hard as far as accomplishments.
He'd beat him up.
Gavin McInnes on the show.
Wow.
Potentially future Senator Richard Painter on the show.
Well, hello.
And a Mug Club film review, and Dennis Rodman.
Ooh, wow.
Oh, yeah.
And before we move on with the show, question of the day, because we're going to be kind of roasting a sacred cow today. Public school teachers. Can you name me how many teachers you've had in your life who've had a net positive impact on your life? Add them all up. How many stand out? Because that's one thing I think a lot of us don't talk about when we're talking about the teacher, sort of the dialogue, the national conversation.
Yeah.
I'm going, hold on a second. What should matter most is how many teachers have really helped you. And I can count them on one hand, yes.
They taught you that.
Spoiler, it's 4.
4.
It's 4. So we're talking about that. Producing with me in video studio, as always, is Jared, who is not gay. Follow him on Twitter at NotGayJared. Me at Crowder with your comments, your thoughts, your photoshops. By the way, we're going to have an art contest. Send them in. I fulfill my legal obligations. Are your conclusions? We good?
I won't be judging it because I'm not gay.
I don't know what that has to do with anything. That was a horrible stereotype.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
G. Morgan Jr. At G. Morgan Jr., how are you?
I'm doing well, sir. And in the spirit of summertime, Cakebread Cellars Sauvignon Blanc is the
Oh,
one.
wow. Really, the reason you brought it in is because you got a discount
Sauvignon.
because the season's over.
Well,
Just like back-to-school sales, he does that with liquor. And how are
kids,
you
though.
at Sven Computer?
I'm good, Peep Peep. I'm ready with the overlays, and
Yeah. You can send me. You can send me.
I just realized I plugged you, and then you plugged you.
I didn't
and then
yet.
that means I have to fire you. That means there can be no Sven compute. Okay. So, other news to get to, we're going to be talking obviously about Donald Trump and Russia. That's the main story of the day.
Yeah.
But first, more important, Dennis Rodman has invited Kanye West to North Korea to create songs for leaders of love. Here's the actual video he tweeted to Kanye West in its entirety because you deserve it.
What's up, Kanye? It's D-Rod here, man. Over here in, Newport Beach, man. Thanks a lot for that shout-out, man, with the jersey, man. Yeah. Love your work, love your style, love your wife. Your kids are beautiful. Hey, man, I thought about something. Let's me and you do a track together, man, about world peace, about leaders of love, baby. About leaders of love. You're one, I'm one. Let's get together, baby, and do this right.
I don't know. Okay, I don't know what. First off, talk about coattailing. Hey, Kanye West, let's do a track together, because I think we're equals.
I'd be lying if I wasn't a little bit resentful that these are our representatives.
Yes.
Celebrities.
Be like Kanye picking Dennis Rodman for street ball, but naming himself captain.
Yeah, exactly. I kind of want to see that, though. I want to see them team up.
Well, you have to appreciate his passion. One thing, was it just weird to you that he seemed to really like Kanye's wife?
He took like a little pause there, like, and your wife.
No, I mean, he really likes Kanye's wife. See the next video he released.
Hey, Kanye, man, thanks again for the shout out. You made me so happy. And I wanted to follow up. I love you so much, man. And you're the man. And I love your wife, man. And I was thinking this song, man, we could do a music video. That would make me so happy, man. And you could be in it, and me, and Kim Jong, and Kim, your wife. And, that'd make me so happy, man. We could have your wife dancing like in that video, with the video with the motorcycle. And I think it'd be great for the American and for the North Korean people, man. And she'd be wearing like they slip, so you like see up the side of it. And I'd love to have it, man, on the motorcycle, so she'd be backwards on that motorcycle, though, because me and her.
Wow.
Yeah.
We have two whole black guys on our side, and I still feel really uncool.
Yes, pretty much.
I don't know how they do it.
Two. And if you end that up with the person who does the rants on Facebook and carry the one, 2.5.
2.5.
2.5. There you go. Yep.
Another story. 4 Alabama police officers have now been suspended for making a hand gesture.
Oh my!
This comes from a local ABC. In the Jasper Police Department, they were suspended for making a hand gesture while posing for a photo. They did this little thing. Some people claim the circular gesture was racist, according to the city's mayor. And here's something else, too. There was also some speculation. The gesture is actually part of a children's game. Or did you ever play this?
Yeah,
you look at it,
yeah.
Of course.
You get to hit them.
There's a wall of them.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
it's fun.
So when you understand, it's not really that surprising given the other games the department banned, including Rock, Paper, Scissors, Red Rover, and Duck, Duck, Jew, because of the diversity issues they've had. And it turns out, by the way, once they found out it was just people have been suspended for hand gestures before.
It's true.
It's pretty common.
Yeah.
Harvey Weinstein at last year's Hunger Games premiere. That didn't go over very well.
I didn't get the sense
Nor Bill O'Reilly's new show. But really, that's not a hand gesture.
Okay, yeah.
It's like yelling fire in a crowded theater. It's more the action that goes with it.
And here's the thing: best case scenario, if they really were fired for a white power, as they call it in the article, a white power gesture, the Black Power fizz is literally part of the Twitter-branded Black Lives Matter hashtag. So I don't want to be the guy who points out blatant hypocrisy, but I kind of want to be.
Well, I do think there's a different connotation with Black Power and white power.
Is there, though?
A shade. So this land whale, and I say this, we have to, because this person in a bikini walked down the streets of New York to prove a point from Cosmo. Anna O'Brien.
We need a trigger warning.
And what's funny, she said she was expecting to be, quote, fat shamed. Instead, people were actually into it. Shouting things like, I want to suck on them tasty toes, and, quote, from the article, let me butter them biscuits. And by the way, it gets so much worse. But if you read the article, in the man's defense, he was actually yelling at the Popeyes across the street, which, when you take in context, where Anna immediately went afterwards for the family meal and 2 Diet Cokes.
Makes a lot more sense now, actually.
Big Pharma actually suppresses the fact that 2 Diet Cokes actually cancels out the carbs.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
In the thyroid.
Yeah, it is. It's science.
True science.
She said, I was prepared to be pointed at, shamed. I didn't expect to be fetishized.
Oh, my gosh.
However,
just count your lucky stars that somebody was into it, all right?
Well, she's also being disingenuous because given that she sought out and performed said stunt at the corner of Martin Luther King Jr. and Malcolm X Boulevard, PolitiFact actually rated her statement a size 25 pants on fire. So that didn't go over well. Here's something else, too. A lot of people, listen.
Every once in a while they do the due diligence.
Oh, my gosh.
There's a huge difference, we're talking about this, between fat pride and slightly overweight women.
Yeah, exactly.
This comes off the. I had just. There's no good way. I watched I Feel Pretty with Amy Schumer.
Bad decision.
My wife said, let's just watch it. It's a long night.
Eating ice cream, too.
No, I just. Anyway, it's as bad as you would think.
You are such a masochist.
I actually didn't think I thought she could be. I've always said she was funny at one point. I know I'm in the minority. I don't hate her. I think she was very funny, just not anymore. So one note. But I'm sitting there talking with my wife going, listen, every single other woman, including the extras, they're all attractive. The only one who's not is Amy Schumer. Men don't expect you to be perfect. So don't think that when we point out someone who's a size 25 saying, this is perfect, this is beautiful. No, hold on a second. It's fine to be big, skinny, tall, short, not perfect. Once you say you're perfect, the grace level goes out the window a little bit.
I'm accidentally vicariously living the movie through your
Oh, yeah.
and I don't like it.
I feel suicidal.
You rated 4 stars in his head. No, that was what we were saying, and you said it happens on both ends actually, and one's very acceptable, and one is not. So we're not making fun of this girl at all. What we're saying is,
I am.
go out
A little bit.
Well, hold on, no.
I
Not
am.
as a person. When she goes out in public, poses in a bikini, and people actually are into it, and she said that creeped her out more than being fat shamed.
What do you
I'm like,
want?
What's the point? We can't win.
What's
blood
the
sugar
These
test
guys want to butter the
you out.
biscuits. Like, come on.
What's the middle ground?
Yeah.
I if I walk the streets, I feel like people are looking at me because I'm a size 36. And I just walked the street last time, and I felt like people were looking at me because they were attracted to me. What do you want? Tell us
win.
what you want.
What do you want? What do you want? What do you want?
And by the way, this goes the other way. I've had my mom's a thin woman, my wife's a thin woman, and actually she comes by it honestly. Both her parents are naturally very thin.
yeah.
They've actually had the opposite problem, where they've had to
Right.
go to doctors just to increase caloric intake.
Yeah.
She eats nothing but Skittles, so it's natural
It's
thing.
a lot. And I've had women say to them, like, we only have sizes for real women. In the store, to their face. Is she a figment of your imagination? She's right there.
Yeah.
Imagine that gives you a compliment. We don't expect women to be perfect. But when you say you're perfect and you're a land whale, you make it into the show.
Look at page 3.
Yes.
Right, yeah.
Okay. The New York Times, by the way, is right now reporting that Donald Trump was shown intel illustrating that Putin directly ordered cyber attacks in 2016. The New York Times said it, so you know it's good. So Trump
Must be true.
took to Twitter this morning, of course, to say it was fake news, and he said they were trying to, quote, so recklessly hard and hate the fact that I'll probably have a good relationship with Putin.
I'm not a Donald Trump hater, but a muzzle might not be a bad investment every once in a while. just
What? Oh, muzzle. I thought you said Muslim.
or at least some
What, are
handcuffs.
you advocating
All
indentured
the
servitude?
tweets.
This is not
Oh,
Malaysia
God, no.
or Indonesia or Dubai or UAE or everywhere Muslims
You
congregate.
progress enough?
But here to speak about that more, he's been pretty passionate. He's been on shows, and you've seen his political ads. Former chief White House ethics lawyer and now candidate for Senate in Minnesota, Richard Painter. Thank you for being here, sir.
I'm not happy about it, Stephen.
Well, that's a bad start. Not happy about what?
About being here. About all the rubbish on the show. All the junk that's been coming from our president and the complete hooey of Russia is handling thereof. I tell you, Stephen, this whole thing has been a
Dumpster fire.
fire.
Dumpster fire. Jinx, you owe me a Coke.
Why would I owe you a Coke, Stephen?
It's just a colloquialism. Don't
I
worry.
don't even drink that crap. I wouldn't drink it if you paid me a dime and lit my ass on fire.
Okay, what do you drink? I don't know.
I drink what the good Lord gave us. Water. Sugar. Water.
Right, so what bothers you most about this week's handling of Russia, if you were to put a finer
Well,
point?
you got a president who goes out there and praises Putin, and then he says that he meant a different word. This man lit a stage 5 dumpster fire and thinks he can fix it with an unzip of his fly.
A what? A zip of his...
Everyone knows you can't just piss out a dumpster fire.
I'm not even sure as to...
And then he wants to tell the American people that it's just raining. But it's not. It's just Donald Trump pissing on his own raging dumpster fire.
Okay, so then what's your
The
solution?
president has been in bed with Russia, and now he's trying to sell the American people a dog.
A dog? He's trying to...
Well, we all know you can put lipstick in a dumpster fire. That don't mean you can kiss it,
I don't think that's a thing.
because then you end up looking like Liam Neeson from Darkman.
Okay, that's an odd reference to make. I think
The
we should...
raging swamp in D.C. has been a dumpster fire for far too long, and I'm gonna put it out. Me,
Okay.
Richard Painter.
Wait, is it a swamp fire?
It's a raging swamp fire, and I'm the one who can put it out.
Okay, Senator, according to your own analogy, you could just put out the swamp fire with its own swamp water.
Right there.
Enough with your flim-flam. So you seem to think you're a tough guy, huh? Going around pissing on fires.
Senator, I didn't piss on any fire.
Well, here in the land of a million leaks, I'll show you a thing or two about pissing on fires.
Not get your hang up.
I know how to piss on a fire.
No. Let's hang up. You know what? We apologize to our viewers and wish only the best for Senator, perhaps Senator Painter. I hope he finds what he's looking for. Okay, moving on with other things that'll be wildly unpopular. You know, we've offended all the. You know what the truth is? We actually get a lot of emails from people and comments of women going like, "Yeah, you know, I'm slightly big, and this doesn't offend me at all. I can't stand those people."
Yeah, they're called everybody else.
On the bell curve, they occupy all of it. You're just a curve. By the way, hit the notification bell and join Mug Club if you people haven't yet joined Mug Club. It's the only way to support this show. We don't keep the lights on with YouTube, and of course, live stream every Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern. It's never changed. Okay, so this was an article in Time magazine called "It's the Only Way." These teachers are working summer jobs to make ends meet.
Cue the violins.
This is going to be a little bit of an unpopular opinion. It's time for another Sacred Cow Cookout. We could probably, that could stand to be improved. Was it an MS Paint? I feel like that thing came out of the computer that printed where you had to take off the edges.
Yeah.
Awesome. So unpopular opinion, but stay with me.
Yeah.
All right? Not all teachers, okay? I think it's an important job. I'm not saying not the most important job, but we'll get to that. I think some teachers are underpaid, but I do think that public school teachers in particular have devolved into a professional culture of victimhood and ingratitude. This was an article, but it read very much like a dramatic 2020 special, so that's how we're going to present it. Here it is. Will Dunn's summer break technically started May 18th, but he works every day. He wakes up and drives to a space he's rented in an office building in Lawrence, Kansas, starting a 7-hour shift at around 5 a.m. as a transportation consultant, advising on long-distance chemical hauling, before clocking out at noon to go spend time with his kids. Okay, if you weren't aware of the agenda at play here, this would actually read like a very mild work day.
You're off at noon? Wow.
That's it?
That's awesome.
This is how you lead the horror story? I haven't worked a short 7-hour shift since I was 21 years old.
I was probably 16. It's been a long time.
This man's been forced to work the everyday 9 to 3. I know it's 9 to 4. I exaggerated with 1 to make a point because I think I've earned it here.
I've earned it.
The article only gets, look, it's all a far cry from Dunn's normal routine. For most of the year, he's a high school math teacher. But school's out through August, and his salary doesn't cover his 4-year-old's preschool tuition or 8-year-old's dental expanders. Dunn must supplement his job with an income from a summer job. Okay, time for our leftist lexicon. School's out equals vacation. Okay, let's be really clear about this.
It's called summer vacation for a reason.
Yes, and by the way, again, we work with some people who are teachers who actually work on this show part-time, okay?
Yeah.
Brilliant people. It's not all teachers, but the ones who talk about in this article. Pretty damn whiny, I've had it with you. And summer job, or as it's interchanged in this article, second job, really means job for everybody else. Yeah, we don't get 3 months off. We don't get 2.5 months off. We don't get 1 month off.
Nope. Glad you cleared that up for everybody here.
Also, the title, It's the Only Way, can be substituted with, this is one of a multitude of ways, but I want more money as well as 3 months off, so I'm going to do it this way and then bitch about it.
And then I'm going to protest when it's really not about the kids. It's about me making more money for working less time than the average American.
It's about the children. Really? Hold on, strike that. Your Honor, does it have to be on the record?
Your Honor.
It already is.
No, it's done.
Damn it.
Done deal.
And here it goes. It goes on more. Dunn's not alone in having a summer side hustle. Educators are statistically 30% more likely to have second jobs than non-teachers. Okay, back to the lexicon. Second job equals job. And frankly, I find this number surprising when you consider
I'm horrible at math, and I caught this.
When you consider the average American job is 260 plus days per year, teachers are only contracted to work 185 days per year.
Gosh, that's a good gig.
I'm surprised it's only 30%. That means that if you... I'm not good at math, so hold on. Carry the one. 70% of teachers don't.
That's called statistically significant.
They get to have their cake and eat it 3 months out of the year, too. The 3.1 million public school teachers in the U.S. earned an average of only $59,000 during the 2016-17 school year, according to the National Education Association Labor Union.
Wait, did you say only?
Yeah, I know.
Only.
Okay.
Really?
So this is about $6,600 a month, okay?
Yeah.
Prorate that to a 12-month job, and it's close to $80,000. It's like $79,000. That's $20,000 more than the national median income of $59,000. Okay?
That's insane.
That's median, by the way, not even average.
That's a lot of money. That's more money than I'm paying my employees. Is that a bad thing?
It is a terrible thing. No!
I make them work every day of the year except for, a few.
Think about that. Again, this is not I'm not trying to tar and feather all teachers. This is one of those subjects. And I think people are getting a little bit tired of it.
Yes.
Like, you can't, it's the most important job. How about neurosurgeon? Is that in there somewhere?
ER doctor, perhaps.
And we're just saying all teachers. Listen, you taught social studies,
right?
Okay? You did pre-kindergarten. That's not exactly the same as trigonometry.
You're exactly Mrs. Frizzle.
No, exactly.
Well, and one of the reasons we bring this up is because you guys go on strike all the time for very obvious reasons. You want to get paid more money, and you're in a teachers union that then lobbies the government to set your pay.
Well, by the way, when people talk about big money and Koch brothers, just look at public sector unions. It's not even close.
It should be illegal. And you cry to us every single time it's about the kids, it's about the kids. And for most of you, or a lot of you, I don't know the number, it's about kids. But when you're out there asking for a 20% raise, like in Arizona,
we haven't been there yet. We're about to get to it.
Sorry, yeah, but I'm sorry. I have to step on something eventually.
It's called foreshadowing.
Back to 2020,
Thanks,
boys.
Gerald.
It's also expensive to work in education. 94% of U.S. public school teachers report paying out of pocket for supplies, spending an average of $479 a year.
Again, I'm horrible at math.
Oh, what?
But
are you serious? $479? That's $40 less than an intern pays out of pocket for a smartphone. She had to buy Crayolas on her own dime.
I have twice that amount in receipts I just have never turned in because I'm like,
I have a brilliant idea. How about we just pay them $500 a year less and give that money to students for supplies? Problem solved. It's not coming out of their pocket anymore.
Yes.
It's good.
That's not why Knock Your Door doesn't turn in. It's because you can't expense report a ball gag.
It's true. I have tried multiple ways.
For this show, yes, you could.
Yeah, for this show, we literally have.
We literally have. I think twice.
Twice. One of them, my mother had to do it. That's an uncomfortable. That's an uncomfortable Excel sheet.
Here's the thing: most people, I think, have some kind of gripe with their jobs, and our hearts just are naturally. Our hearts are oriented toward like a state of lack of gratitude and ungratefulness.
Right.
Teachers just have a lot more time to get together and bitch about it than most people. That's the only difference.
Yes.
Stop it. I have to tell them to use a number 2 pencil so that it doesn't mess up the Scantron machine when I put it in.
Is that still the technology?
They're still using number 3s and 4s. It's like I'm talking to a wall.
To reiterate, to be specific, 3 months more time than everybody else has to
Let's say 2. Let's say 2. Let's be really generous. But do they still use Scantrons?
I was about to say, is that the technology? Do they even have non-number 2 pencils? I've never seen one.
What? Is it a thing?
I don't know.
Like, why don't you just say number 2
use
pencil?
a number 2 pencil.
And what happened to number 1? What happened to number 1? Did we just get rid of it and never give it any kind of acknowledgement and credit for what it did?
No.
I guess
its contributions will be remiss. We skipped it.
All right, more from the voice.
Ooh.
That's what fueled a 9-day teacher strike this past March in West Virginia. Because they're doing a great job in West Virginia.
They have the worst
educating
record. Teachers.
After teachers found out they'd only be getting a 2% raise, they organized en masse, eventually forcing the governor to increase their pay by 5% and pause healthcare price hikes. Protests for higher wages quickly spread everywhere, from Oklahoma to Colorado. Oh, okay. A 5% raise is far above the average of 3% annually for American workers.
Yeah.
All right? And like you said, teachers elsewhere in Arizona got a 20% raise.
That's insane.
Across the board after strikes.
It's almost like greediness is contagious.
And they didn't teach the kids 20% better. The test scores didn't go up 20% more, all right? The schools didn't run 20% more on time.
Using 20% less Scantrons.
Yeah, exactly. 20% less number 2 pencils.
At that point. This is great. And this is what we're talking about, too. This is where, like we're talking about with the fat pride deal, what it is the grace window closes when there's ingratitude, right?
Yeah.
If teachers just said, okay, listen, it's 3%, we want a 3% raise, 5% raise, okay, let's go with that at that point. But let's say someone says, you know what, all right, I'm going to give you a 6% raise. That's twice the national average. They're excited to give the teachers, but you say 20%. Guess what?
Yeah.
You think that person wants to be gracious to you?
You're done now.
You think the public, the taxpayers, you think they're happy with this performance? It's the exact opposite. Ingratitude closes doors, and that's why I say that the tides are shifting right now with a lot of teachers, particularly as you have more private schools, particularly as you have more people doing school online.
Yeah.
There's
a lot of competition.
Not all teachers are great, and we'll get to that in a second.
Yeah.
Back to The Voice.
As teens drop summer jobs, teachers like the Sullens are picking them up. Forget lifeguarding or delivering newspapers. Instead, educators are taking advantage of the gig economy. Some walk dogs through WAG, a pet sitting app, or some deliver packages for Amazon Flex, where employees can earn up to $25 an hour. The horror. Okay, you only work 9 months out of the year, so you're forced to take a completely flexible, name your own hours, high-paying part-time job.
Hard to get fired job.
Thanks to the modern economy, by the way, during your 2-month vacation, because you only make the equivalent to $20,000 more than the national average plus lifelong benefits. And by the way, this sharing economy, the gig economy, is the economy that all the far leftists who support your unions 99% of the time, look it up at Open Secrets, hate. The socialists hate the sharing economy.
This is awesome.
Seriously,
my God.
Bernie Sanders.
I just got gout.
Uber and Airbnb are. Shut up, you old socialist coot.
Irony is too rich.
The Sullens. Sorry, Sullens is a first name. I need to make sure I get this correct, because when they're like, oh, you had it. The spirit's the same.
It's in The
It's a
Voice.
generic white guy name.
Sullens, who has a master's degree and is national board certified, says he earns about $47,000 a year in base pay. He can usually bring in about $200 every few days with Lyft with a Y. Money he uses to help cover auto bills and medical costs for him and his husband. Last year he worked at a religious preschool. I don't even know what. I'm just going to finish this up. I wish I could take vacations. I wish I could sit and do nothing during the summer, he says. Don't we all? I don't think teachers are really paid for the value of what they provide to society. Like teaching them about two daddies? Just in case the social agenda weren't obvious enough.
Yeah,
They just slip it in.
definitely caught that.
Him and his husband are teaching children, and they would love to take summers off.
Everyone would love to take summers off.
Feather the two daddy thing in there, right? No one
Yes.
caught that, right? I think
No
it's
one
pretty
caught
smooth.
Is that a religious preschool? What religion?
I don't know. Maybe
Very
they're
interesting.
Unitarians. Do they have schools?
I don't know.
They don't do that thing.
What
A
do they
Unitarian Montessori school?
Nah, it's not
Everybody's
the doctrine.
accepted except Christians.
And here's something, like I said, I've had some great teachers.
Yeah.
But I've had a lot of, when you average it up, most of you have had somewhere between, in Canada it's a little bit different, I did immersion, so I've had somewhere close to 40 teachers by the time I was in college.
Right, yeah.
Most people have somewhere between 25 and 40. We go through grade school and
Yeah.
high school, okay? I can name you 4 that had a positive impact on my life. Can you think of any? Can you think of it?
I can think of probably 2 that had a big impact and maybe 2 or 3 others that had a good impact, but I can't remember their names.
Oh, well, yeah,
You know
must
what I
have
mean?
really
I'm
meant
really
something to
terrible
you.
with that. Yeah. No. But one of them was one of the
Will
most
you remember
impactful.
me always?
Yes.
No.
Next year. Who was she?
Do you have any teachers there?
I was homeschooled, so I plead the fifth.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, yeah, you can't do that.
I did not like her. Stan Computer, do you have any good teachers?
Oh yeah, there were a few good teachers.
I would imagine they beat you a lot in Germany.
Maybe.
In Germany, I just
I'm not
picture
allowed
them
to
all the
speak
time
about
using
it.
the switch.
Yeah, you get better results that
Grabbing
way.
the paddle. I can count on one hand, so I can give
Yeah.
you the exact names. Mr. Mitchell, my senior year English teacher at Centennial.
Yeah.
And I remember he was very clear about how you were graded, okay? You had to read a book, and you had to write an essay on the book. You had to deliver an oral each semester. You had to do a written test on the book. And then you had to do a written test on something like kind of grammar. And then you also had 10% of your grade just for writing every single day in a journal.
Yeah.
He said, if you do these things, this is how you're graded. And kids loved him. He stayed after class, and the school board came to him and told him that his grades were too high, so he just took it down by 5 points next semester so he wouldn't get fired.
See, this is why we hate schools.
Mrs. Berman taught me about World War II, the Holocaust, in 9th grade. She was one of the few board-certified people. And while she reprimanded me, she actually encouraged kind of the class clownsmanship that you see today. She was like, you're being a smart ass. You can do it, just not on my time. I find it funny, but I will kick you out.
Now we know who to blame. She could have nipped it in the bud.
I can remember Mrs. Roberts, and my 7th grade homeroom teacher stayed after school to help me with my math. And then Mrs. Naidu. Here's a good example. Strict, fierce, small, I think South Indian lady. She was very dark, darker than most black people. I mean, she was really dark.
Yeah,
Camouflage. And most kids didn't like her. Most kids did not like her. So it was that year, by the way, in the 4th grade. And it was my whole childhood up until Quebec, where midway through that year, I had to be in French immersion. And I think I've spoken with you guys about this. That's where you do half in English, half in French.
Yeah.
So I was learning math, history, geography in French, and I fell behind. I think they might have thought I was learning disabled. I'm not entirely, but the point is, midway through the year, for some reason, all I knew is they switched me to learning English, learning in English, and I was fine. Once I started learning in English, I was like, oh, he's not retarded. he's just slow doing math in French.
I was about to say, you mean I'm speaking a language? It's very difficult trying to learn math, which I don't know yet.
Right.
Seriously?
And it didn't have so much to do with math. It was just really hard for me. So Mrs. Naidu stayed after school, and she taught me long division, which I can't do now. I cannot remember. And
we have calculators, don't worry.
The crazy thing is, it took about 3 sessions.
Yeah.
And same with my senior year of high school. I never opened my math textbook because I had a teacher. I won't name him. I really liked him as a person. Horrible math teacher. 73% of his students would fail their provincial exams. But 3 sessions for me to learn long division, which I didn't learn all. Think of that. Half of the school year. Nothing. Nothing! You get nothing. Good day, sir. You're learning disabled. Good day to you. The school system, the public school teachers taught me in 3 sessions with a truly devoted teacher, I learned it all. Yeah. And I put it this way, I'm not condemning all teachers. What do I think? Let me simplify it. I think Miss Naidu deserves a 6-figure executive salary, and the other teachers deserve intern base pay. There you go, in a nutshell.
Yeah, absolutely. I have a quick, easy solution to this. If you take the school system that we have right now and you make people compete for jobs, teachers are going to make a lot more money. Every one of them could possibly get a raise if you take it out of the government sector and put it in the public sector.
Oh, is that really what you think when you think it's performance-based in this intrinsically paternal system?
Look,
remember that Matt Damon talking to reporters? Like, you use words that you pulled out of your Harvard dictionary, I guess. Because it doesn't apply. Intrinsically paternal system has nothing to do with competitive-based pay.
Those are just
dummy.
sounds.
Yeah. Also, I have a buddy who is a teacher right now, and we love the good teachers. We love them. Obviously, you've said that before. My buddy's a great teacher, but he chooses to do it. He knows he's going to make less money, and so therefore he doesn't complain when he makes less money and works a second job. He chooses to do it because he loves the fulfilling aspect of it. He gets to so into people, and that's fantastic. Go for it. But don't then complain to me that you want 3 months off and more money.
And the longer you do it, you know what? You're hurting other. Just like the size 25, the size 36 person we were talking about. She hurts the women who are slightly chubbier, because the more you demand that people accept you as perfect, the more you demand that everyone take you for what you are and take it at face value for perfect, the less grace people have for you. Teaching is the single most important job in the world. Now, if you said, listen, I think teaching is an important job, you'd have a lot of grace from people going like, oh yeah, it's an important job. It's the most important.
Well,
Dr. Parsons separated conjoined twins at the head.
What'd you do today?
NASA? It's the most important. Teachers are the most underpaid job. Hold on a second. Not necessarily. What about anesthesiologists? They're off by a degree. You get killed. I know they're paid a lot. I want them to be paid a lot. I've been put under twice.
I want them to be good at their jobs.
Now, if you just said teachers are generally underpaid, most people go along with you. Yeah. Again, you close. People miss more opportunities in their life for ingratitude than I think. It's just an attitude of gratitude. It's not about being this false sort of positive self-help. It is about appreciating what you have and using that as your platform from which to propel yourself forward. You will open doors by being grateful. People will want to be gracious to you. All right, speaking of very gracious, Not Gay Jared forced me to do this. It is time for a Mug Club movie review. What do I have to review there, Not Gay Jared?
We are reviewing today Mamma Mia 2.
Mamma Mia 2. Yeah.
Say it.
Yeah.
Say it ain't so.
So, well, you don't have to. You weren't there. So let me just give you the synopsis because I can't really tell you what happened. In 1979, these girls, Donna, Tanya, and Rosie, graduate from Oscar University, free to embark on her journey. She meets Harry, Bill, and Sam and falls in love with Sam, but ends up breaking. Okay, here's the deal. We saw Mamma Mia 2.
The second one.
I threw up a little. Mamma Mia 2. I'm pretty sure it's just based on... And by the way, getting a little bit thin with the ABBA Greatest Hits catalog. I hope there's not a 3, and dear God, no Pierce Brosnan, because I want to like it. He's so fantastic and everything else.
Yeah.
I've lost respect for him. For those of you who have not seen it, here's a brief clip.
Mamma Mia, here I go again. My, how can I resist you?
And now for Hopper Proverbs, sponsored exclusively by Mug Club.
It is said that if you give a dog some cheeses, you feed him for a day. But if you give a dog a cow, I don't know how to make cheeses, but if I had a recipe and some thumbs, I probably could figure it out. Just on Mug Club so Steven can give Hopper more cheeses, because he has thumbs.
Stay tuned for more Hopper Proverbs, sponsored by Mug Club.
I don't think people can do Hadoukens in real life. We've been asking for fans, but if someone could, it would be our next guest.
It would.
So for people who don't know, I'm not going to lie. There are very few, I've talked about this, people I've met in my life who intimidate me, not just because he can beat the crap out of me, but there's a certain level of fame and notoriety with which I'm no longer comfortable. One was when I met Clint Eastwood. I didn't know what to say. Like, I loved you in every which way but loose.
Yeah, he introduced himself as the mayor of Carmel.
And he introduced himself as the mayor of Carmel. One was GSP. And our next guest, in case you don't know, undisputed light heavyweight champion.
Boom.
Just defeated Stipe Miocic to become the undisputed heavyweight champion.
Boom.
And he's a full-time host and commentator for the sport of mixed martial arts. Daniel D.C. Cormier, how are you, sir? Thank you for being here.
I'm pretty good, man. Thank you for having me, Steve.
I appreciate you calling us from your limo there. I see someone is driving you. I hope to reach that level of notoriety someday.
It's like you stated off there. It might be a bit of a power move. We got to seem real busy. Got to keep it moving.
Yes, exactly. Well, I don't really think you need to make a power play, DC. Rest assured, everyone here is terrified. So first off, listen, congratulations, obviously, on what might be one of the biggest accomplishments in sports, let alone mixed martial arts. Everyone I know wants to talk with you about the Lesnar fight. They want your ear on this. This is the biggest fight coming up. But for some of our fans who aren't necessarily familiar, I'd love to kind of get into your story a little bit.
Yes.
I mean, some serious adversity you've overcome. You were,
yes.
People don't know, captain of the Olympic wrestling team, and really, really high hopes for you because you were so high level and you had kidney failure from cutting weight, dialysis.
Yes.
Not to bring up any sore spot, but obviously I know you had a tragedy with your daughter. Things that most people would justifiably use as an excuse. Now you just become the UFC heavyweight champion at 39. And having had Brian Shaw recently, World's Strongest Man, and Georges St. Pierre, and some great people at what they do, how did you do it? Did you always believe and know that you were going to be here? What's that like? What are the doubts like along that path?
Man, the crazy thing is, it's like when you deal with a lot of these things that I've dealt with, especially the tragedies in life, you can either suck it up or you can say, you know what, my journey's done. I knew that the best way to honor all the people that I've lost, especially Caden, was to do something truly, truly special. So use it as a motivating factor in my life, and that's what I've done. I feel like all the very close calls I had with becoming the best led to that moment on July 7th or July 9th when I fought Stipe.
But come on, that's the biggest event ever. It's give or take a couple of days. I have a lot of things going on. I'm being chauffeured.
I'm trying to really make myself seem more busy than I am. I got to be honest with you. But I really did know the date. I did know the date. I was just pretending. You guys called me out on it.
I appreciate your candor.
But I doubt myself. I'm like, man, 39 years old. You know what the craziest thing was? Like, before the fight with Stipe, being that he was the guy that defended the belt 3 times and he was the most successful heavyweight champ of all time.
Yeah.
I'm in the back in the locker room, and I'm walking back and forth, and these are thoughts that I'm having to myself because my coaches and teammates are all excited. I'm telling myself, win or lose, I'm 39 years old. I'm done with this. I'm never fighting again. I don't need to deal with this anxiety. It's over. I was like trying to give myself reasons why I was gonna lose the fight. I was like, what is going on?
I couldn't hear his trash talk. He always mumbles. People from Cleveland, I don't know what they're saying. It just makes no sense. Yeah, any reason.
It was just like everybody was saying how hard he hit, right? And I'm like, man, I wonder if this dude's going to hit me, and I'm going to be like, what in the world just hit me? What if he hits harder than anything I've ever felt? So, we dealt with all the same types of questions, but the moment I got into the octagon, I was like, I could never give this up. I can't give this up until it's time for me to give it up.
Well, I'm interested, in the fact that you mentioned that, anxiety. Some fighters say they don't get it. Same thing with the performers. Before I take the stage ever, I'm always nervous, and I've always been very jealous of some people who say they're not. But you're someone who gets nervous before every fight.
I think you should embrace that, though, because I feel like for you and me, the people that are nervous, it's like this anxiety. For me, it's competitive nerves, right? Like, I'm excited about the opportunity to compete and test myself and challenge myself, but not knowing what the outcome is going to be makes me on alert. And I feel like the times that I'm not like that is when I'm going to lose a fight. And I feel the same way with you, right? Like, if you're going onto a stage, you have a job to do. Right. You have a message to get across. And it's like, if I don't present my message in a good, strong way, this can go sideways very quickly. So, yeah, the nerves are great. The nerves make you on edge, and the nerves make you do your job to the level that you expect from yourself.
Yeah, I often still go sideways from live performances because people punch me when they don't like what I have to say. But okay, I have some other questions I wanted to ask you, but let me ask this specifically about that fight, because now understanding, I didn't know this, the anxiety, the sort of self-doubt you had. I remember watching it and you starting off and being a little bit more cautious, and I turned to my dad watching this fight. For people who don't know, go watch it. It's a classic, saying, up. He's timed him now. And I remember your hands were a little bit up. You fight taller than a lot of people talk about that with you. And you rolled with the punch coming in. That over-under as he pivoted, it seemed like you had drilled that 1,000 times. Did you kind of get a sense when you were in there going, okay, I've been here before. I know what's about to happen?
Steve, when I was wondering about his punching power, once I felt it, I was like, okay, this is nothing abnormal. This is...
Right.
He hits hard, but nothing that I haven't, guys, put the volume down a little bit. Nothing that I haven't, my kids.
That's good.
And I'm also like, hey, I'm super busy driving the car and raising my kids while doing the interview. Look,
I appreciate it.
I am a busy man. I'm just kidding. But I was like, okay, it's not abnormal. I kind of got his timing a little bit. Let's see what happens. But when he went to that underhook, I limped to get my underhook because time and time again, early in the fight, I tried to uppercut him, right?
Right.
We had picked up on something Stipe does when he backs out of the clinch. He'll leave his hands low and his chin's kind of up.
Yeah.
So after I limp arm that time, I threw uppercut twice. I was like, he's going to expect uppercut. His hand stayed a little bit low, so I threw the overhook, and it landed. I mean, it's just something that me and my coaches, especially Rosendo Sanchez, did over and over again. We went uppercut, hook over the top, uppercut, hook over the top, and once it presented itself, he disappeared from in front of me, and I was like, oh my goodness, this is actually happening right now.
Yeah. Well,
it was like a fairy tale.
Don't take your foot off the gas. It was like, oh my goodness, and he's up. Crap. Because I've seen that.
We've seen Stipe do that, right? When Overeem dropped him, he got up and he got back and he won that fight. But hey, I was like, oh my goodness, he's down. Jump on him and hit him a couple more times and then this fight.
Yes, and this was on July 7th, correct? Just making sure. But how does it feel? How does it feel at this moment in time to know that you are virtually 100% certain there is no man walking the globe who could defeat you in unarmed hand-to-hand combat at this moment in time?
They say the heavyweight champion is the baddest man on the planet, and I'm the UFC heavyweight champion. So it's a good feeling whenever you accomplish things that you've looked forward to your entire career. I've come up short before, so to accomplish that goal and beat a guy that was so well thought of, it's big. Okay. The thing is with me though, I'm a shorter guy, right? I'm not the most muscular guy, right? So guys, I
wouldn't say that, DC. I would say you're about average. You're a good-looking guy. I wouldn't say any of those things.
Yeah, I'm a good-looking guy. Trust me. Hey, I'm a good-looking guy. I'm beautiful. Yes. To my wife. But I'm beautiful to my wife. But people wouldn't try Stipe because he's 6'4", 250 pounds.
Right.
They see me, I'm 5'11", 240 pounds. Like, I might be able to whip that dude.
Yeah.
Disclaimer, don't try me.
Okay. All right. Well, okay, let me get more specific because it's a very gracious answer. Josh Barnett, to me, we can bring up this clip. I don't think you can see it right now, but one of the most amazing moments in all of fighting, you throwing Josh Barnett, and I know you have a lot of love for him, so I don't say this to at all denigrate the guy, like a small child. And for those who don't know watching, Josh Barnett is a tremendous wrestler who could throw any of us like a small child. When you're fighting one of the UFC champion himself, one of the best wrestlers around, and the discrepancy is so huge between you and someone like that in this fight, does that confidence carry into the next fight, or is it still back to 0.0 and you have those doubts and that anxiety?
I always have the nervousness that will never go away. But when I fought Josh Barnett, I knew that I was ready to fight everybody. That was the fight where I felt I grew up. Like I was like, man, I am a true martial artist now. I can fight anybody in the world and be okay because I know that Josh could have fought anybody in the world and been okay. So, Josh, I always say the Josh Barnett fight is the fight that I grew up in.
Okay. Yeah. It was the fight that I was so terrified. My balls retracted into my body. That's how I remember that. When you see a 250-pound man twirled around, you're like, oh my God. Oh, okay. I'm a purple belt jiu-jitsu, done some recreational boxing. Just better make nice.
Bought your pay-per-view and a box of Kotex.
Yeah.
You're like, hey, there is somebody out there that could do that to me, and that is a scary thought.
Oh, I've had it done to me with actually an Oklahoma State wrestler. Suplexed me to high heaven, and I was just like, okay, I understand this level.
Who
now.
was it?
A guy named, he was very nice. I don't want to put out his name because I don't want to, but he was, let me say this, very nice, and I was the one who started standing because I wanted to, I think his name is trains at Guy in Dallas, and just unbelievably strong. And to feel, I say to everyone, you should feel excellence in any realm. Now, I've had Thomas Sowell on the show, one of the most brilliant economists ever. To talk with him is to experience it on a new level. To go with someone like that, who's an All-American, it's just, you assume you're going to get your ass kicked, but you need to feel it once.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Okay.
To understand.
Yes, exactly. I don't need to try it with you. Skype is good enough. Something I've always found really interesting, you just mentioned your wife, your rivalry obviously with John Jones. Not so much the fight game aspect, but such a stark contrast I've always thought in lifestyle. With him, hit and runs, popping hot, nightclub, pretty seen as a selfish guy. Whereas you seem to really focus on your family, and I always notice sharing your victories very graciously with teammates. Do you think that those relationships really ground you and make you stronger as a person, thereby as a fighter?
Yes, it does. Because the reality is I could never do any of this without my family or with my teammates and my coaches. From the moment that I first experienced high-level mixed martial arts, especially watching Cain Velasquez become heavyweight champion, everything he said was we thought we could do this. We thought we could do this. And I remember going, he isn't taking full credit for this. This is a team. And I was like, you know what? I'm part of that team. Yeah. And then I started to experience it for myself. Like, wow, it really is this team's victory. I'm just a guy that gets to go out and show what we've been working on for the last 12 weeks, the last 10 weeks. I'm just a guy that goes out to present the product. I mean, nobody does their job on their own. And I believe that when guys go, I'm this and I'm that and I'm that, it's just very, very selfish. Yeah. But family's everything. You don't want, it's just that real kind of crazy type of life. Yeah. Honestly, is not for me. It's obviously for Jones, but it's also what makes Jones so good, right? Because he lives so like on the edge. Yeah. Like I think he might be like one of those guys that needs to live on the edge. So when he lives on the edge, he also fights like that, right? Like not many guys can just be absolutely free inside of the octagon, and I think Jones is one of those guys. That's why you see him doing spinning kick. Yeah. Spinning elbow. Yeah. He does all these things because there's no concern for what's going to happen. No concern for the punishment of the action. And I think that's why he's so good at fighting, but also why he's so self-destructive in life.
So
it's a healthy cycle.
Yeah, it's a healthy cycle. The creative fighting goes hand in hand with coke under the octagon when they're coming in. Well, you know what? It's funny. This is a great example of humility, and not in the sense that, listen, you're the baddest man on the planet. You're not lying about that. It's not false humility, but gratitude to people who helped you do that. And we're talking a lot about masculinity, this idea of toxic masculinity today. I think you're a good example, so people can understand that there's a balance between gratitude and also being real in looking yourself in the mirror. And not to stay on a sore spot, but this is the final question I do want to ask on that man. You've beaten every man you've ever fought, obviously, soundly, not named John Jones, and then he pissed so many times hot. He was melting USADA cups like they looked at the Ark of the Covenant, right? Is this still something that it's a rematch that you want, and do you even think it would ever be possible, given how much trouble and the suspensions he's been into?
Our business is a partnership, right? Because as two guys that have to fight, we have to promote the fight. We have to get to the fight. We have to do everything together to present the fight as it's supposed to be. And there's been a number of occasions where we haven't. You know, for John and I, the 2 fights that we've had, we've been scheduled 5 times.
Right.
And for one reason or the other, we haven't fought. I would fight him again. I'm a competitor. You know, I would love to fight him again. I just don't know if it works in the time frame for what I have left in my career. You know, I've said for a long time, I will retire by the time I'm 40 years old. That's next March, you know, and when I started saying it early, people thought there's no way, but we had years away from that date. But now as we get closer, everybody's like, wow, this guy might be serious.
Yeah.
I just don't know when John's going to be back. And honestly, that's his fault. I mean,
Yeah.
I can't hold or allow him to dictate anything that goes on in my career anymore.
Well, man, I think that's a healthy way to look at it, because I know, like you said, the guy was in your head for a while. I mean, it was a rivalry for sure. You two did not seem to like each other. All right, listen, I feel like we're familiar enough now. So let me toss you a bit of a curveball. The nickname DC. It's not really a nickname, Daniel Cormier. It's just your initials.
No.
Can we get something more going here?
You know, and this was my nickname when I first started fighting at Oklahoma State. Was Zach Esposito is the assistant coach at Oklahoma State. When I would go in there and hit pads with my cousin, they called me the Kung Fu Panda. And I was like, the moment I could change that, I changed it. The moment everybody else was called.
Okay, so you kind of
DC, but I can change that. I'm changing it.
I don't know. I think Kung Fu Panda's got a nice ring to it, and I hate to tell you this, but a lot of people watch this show, and you might get a few people now saying the Kung Fu Panda, but in a nice way. I tell you what, it's a lot better than self-given nicknames like the Dentist, the Skull Crusher. I'll take it over that, but still, sure. I think we could do a little better.
Could you imagine Bruce Buffer, Daniel, Kung Fu Panda, Cormier? It'd be ridiculous. The only people that would enjoy it are my children.
Yeah, well, there you go. On your last fight, have Bruce Buffer belted out in his shark suit and just let it rip. All right, listen, I know you're busy and you're there.
Look, wait. You have no idea how much pride Bruce takes in those suits. Those are all custom made beautifully for Bruce Buffer. And for the bigger fights, you may find just the material is just phenomenal. We share locker rooms when I call the fights, and the care that Bruce takes of his suits, it is something to behold. Trust me. Absolutely. And there's a lot of words inside the lining. Like inside the lining, there are so many words and like phrases. Bruce Buffer's
does he have positive affirmations in his lining?
He's got so much stuff in the lining, dude. Like, I'm the greatest commentator of all time, and I'm the GOAT. There's like so much in Bruce's jacket.
It's just
Bruce's
catchphrase.
Real life James Bond.
Whoever wins just gets to strip him naked and take that.
Yeah, exactly. That's that instead of the belt. Just reminders. Don't forget to say, it's time. Got it.
Push Bruce on the ground and steal his jacket. That would be the day that that would be the funniest thing in the octagon. Somebody pushes Bruce down and takes his jacket off.
Don't do it, because if the Diaz brothers are listening, they will. All right. That is Daniel Cormier. You can follow him on the Twitter, of course, at DC_MMA. You can watch him on television everywhere. And listen, man, we are, every time you fight, we're rooting for you. Me and my dad, we're huge fans. I really appreciate you taking the time and the insight as well, man.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you for having me.
Thank you. Be well. Gavin McInnes after this, I think. There we go. P-O-G. Hey, one library of the week. Thanks so much for people who are supporting the show. It means, and when I say support, I mean those who've joined Mug Club, louderwithcarter.com/Mug Club. It's $99 annually, $69 for students, veterans, or active military. Just enter it in as a promo code. And you get to see the show that we do live every Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern, every day. We do it instead of just the clips, because like we said, YouTube isn't paying the bills. You don't have to join if you don't want to, but this is what allows us to go out there, go on location, do the daily show, confront people who are dishonest about journalism, do change my mind. It's all put together by you, the Mug Club members, and it's also why we don't have so many commercials for all of the weird sponsorships that you hear across a lot of podcasts. I mean, how many different containers do you need? louderwithcarter.com/Mug Club. Enjoy the show. consider? Is this
Got
going
none of the
opposite
words.
directions? This is supposed to be really hard, but it's not
It
that
looks
hard.
like you're pretty talented at it.
Now,
You found a new
now-
skill.
Now our next guest is doing
It's
it.
pretty natural.
Is it pretty natural?
Yeah.
Well,
It's all natural.
Now I don't feel like I've done it. It's all natural these days, kids. It's all ball bearings. All right, at Gavin_McInnes. He has a show over there at CRTV, and I believe Not Gay Jared is going to be on his weekend program here in the coming weeks. Gavin McInnes, how are you, sir?
I'm great. Not Gay Jared is on the show tomorrow night, which is exciting because I was interviewing homeless people on the street the other day, and they were very excited about you, sir.
Yeah. Well, there you go.
There you go.
There's something.
He's
That's got to count
called-
for something. There's hobos in New York City that are interested.
What
in me.
were you doing with these
I have
hobos?
options.
Oh, I interview people on the street for MOS, and there's a popular bum in New York called the Hater Hobo because
Okay.
he's so mean.
Yeah.
And he was like, I love Louder with Crowder, man.
Wow, that's very nice. I thought you were saying you loved Not Gay Jared, which would lead to more questions.
Yeah, exactly.
It's all the same.
Yeah,
If you
yeah.
love Louder with Crowder, you love an integral part of it. If you like the Stern Show, you like Robin Quivers.
I'm not familiar with this nomenclature. So one thing I will say is, first, before we get to anything else, do you like your chair? I noticed we have the same chair. Now, I used to have one of these from a long time ago. It's a Herman Miller. It used to be great, and now it sucks. It hurts.
It hurts? What are you talking about?
It used to be, I had an old chair, and then they changed manufacturer, and now it's like there's this thing digging into my back. It's like the Princess and the Pea, only with herniated discs.
Oh, well, you can adjust that thing in the back. We're speaking, of course, of the Aeon chair. It's an $800 chair. It's made of these mesh fibers where there's no real bottom of the chair. It just suspends you. When you fart, it goes through the mesh and into the atmosphere.
That's its
There's no
primary
collective.
purpose, but they won't put it in the brochure, but everyone knows that's why you buy it. All right, listen, so have you been following this, the bonobos, the toxic masculinity video that's been circulating here this week?
I probably have.
All right.
I have a bad frontal lobe, but my back lobe is probably very familiar with it.
You have a tremendous right. Okay, we're going to show a clip just to refresh your memory and then get your thoughts. Let's go real quick.
Masculine.
Adjective. Having qualities or appearance traditionally associated with men.
Especially strength and aggressiveness.
Some of the synonyms are
Macho. Manly. Muscular.
red-blooded.
My goodness. Strapping. Strong.
Brawny.
Powerful. None of these really sound like me.
I think that's what gets us in trouble is when we say that there's only one way to be a man.
So many individuals, they try and fit, and it just gets to a point where it's too much.
Where they are doing harm to each other.
So you're probably familiar with it now. A couple of things here. I noticed some serious asymmetry going on there. And nary a real man in the group. I know this is a hot topic of yours. Did you have a seizure when this occurred?
Yeah, I had a seizure inside, an internal seizure, but I'm such a real man that I can keep that to myself and not show it outwardly.
Okay, all right.
Listen to some of those adjectives, too, that they have a problem with. Strong. Men are meant to be strong. I'm not strong. Well, then you're letting us down. It's like beautiful. I know women are not all supermodels, but every woman wants to be pretty. We have this new reinventing the wheel where there's no rules, and a 400-pound woman with burns all over her face is just as pretty as the top supermodel. No.
Well, hold on a second. The burns, I don't think we should toss into the same boat. Shit, that might be out of her control, especially if she served, but the 400 pounds, I'll go with you.
If it within that person's control or not is irrelevant. The point is that some people are prettier than others. Some women are more feminine than others. Some men are more manly than others. You can't just throw out the whole definition.
Yeah.
Or there's nothing to aspire to.
I didn't so much find it funny that they had a problem with strong, but red-blooded.
Red-blooded.
I mean, we're getting a little loose with what gets tossed under the umbrella here. None of these things describe me. You're reptilian? What's happening right now? The conspiratorial YouTube of the Illuminati right, they're going nuts. Yeah, this is, and one thing too, Gavin, I know you've talked about this, and obviously people get mad when you discuss it and there's a controversy, but the reality is no one expects all men to be all these things. Like you said, they are just good qualities. That being said, the left doesn't see strength as a good quality. They see it as
they're goals.
Yes.
They're goals. And the modern man is a socialist little wimp. And what he does is sit at home all day and be soft. And he's probably the child of a single mom, and he gets a mani and a pedi. And I would say, at least between millennials and young men today, that's actually the norm. The whole strong, red-blooded, I'm tough, I don't cry. I want to date hot chicks and party. I think that's becoming a minority. So those guys we just saw are actually the oppressors there. They're the ones getting people fired. They're the ones making everyone uncomfortable. The real man is kind of gone.
Well, I don't even listen. Obviously, I don't so much care right now. There's this pickup culture, the hot chicks and party, but we are talking about a young generation of men who aren't learning how to be fathers, how to be good husbands, how to be good leaders of their community. You know, this is a big. I don't know if you heard Barack Obama's speech recently. Where was he? He was abroad.
He was in South Africa.
South Africa, that's right. And he said, I know it's easy to think that democracy is gone and it's been given over to the strong man, something along those lines. I'm going, well, hold on a second. There's nothing wrong with a strong man. There's something wrong with a strong evil man because the evil is amplified. But you want a couple strong good men to keep them in check. But the left sees strength as a negative, kind of like the tranny at Juiceland we confronted. This person plotted to slash our tires, but they listed I was 6'2", therefore I'm wrong. You must run into this all the time with your glorious beard.
I saw that. Yeah, the Obama clip was Obama saying, men are kind of getting on my nerves these days. I think
that's a different one.
Me.
There was one where he was talking about the strong democracy given over to the strong man.
We've had darker days.
Yeah, we've had darker days, but still, he used the term strong man as a pejorative.
He's a vile human being, isn't he?
Yeah, I don't like him.
No, I think this whole don't cry and all that stuff, I think it started in the 70s. There was this, it's all right to cry. And that culture in the 70s was don't beat up a kid because he's effeminate and don't bully kids because they appear to be gay. And they had a point in the 70s, but the pendulum has swung so far the other way that now it's bullying people who seem too masculine and being ashamed of being male. And every time there's a college student answering a question in college, he has to get up and say, hi, I know I come from a place of privilege and I'm a white male and I'm cisgendered, but I just think that, these qualifiers they have to give. So it's become taboo to be a proud male. But here's the secret. The patriarchy, this tough guy thing, built the Western world. Nowhere are gays and women and everyone else safer. So don't get rid of the patriarchy or you'll end up with something much worse.
Yeah. ISIS?
Yes, it's two options. Either the liberals take over and you got 300 genders and you've got trans prisoners molesting women in jail and all kinds of,
For people who don't know, this is an actual story that we just covered today. He's not speaking out of turn, yes.
Or secondly, you get the opposite and you have the fascists take over, the Islamicists, and you have Sharia law, like we're seeing in Luton in England, like we saw in Iran. So it's lose-lose. Ladies, I know you don't like it when daddy says it's bedtime and you got to eat your vegetables, but trust me, at least you have vegetables in a bed. Don't have that without us.
There's someone in Venezuela right now going, I would kill for vegetables. But it is absolutely, and you know what, a good example of that, you just talked about Islamicists and Sharia law, and we're talking about strongmen. Dr. Ben Carson caught so much flack. He took a strong stance. Now, you can't think of someone who sounds more meek than Dr. Ben Carson. Yeah. And he just said, well, I don't believe in Sharia law and the Constitution. I think they're incompatible. That was a negative to the left because that was a position of strength. We're not talking about Arnold or muscles. We're talking about strength of character, and they still pounce on you, even if you're Dr. Ben Carson. So why hide it?
Well, Trump came along and he said, I can't call them anchor babies. What do you want me to call them? Undocumented workers of civil society. And then he goes, I'm saying anchor baby. And this whole that's really what Trump's 2018, that's what the new America is about. Just no, we're not listening to you anymore. We're not doing your bathrooms. We're not doing any of your crazy ideas. We're not calling this racist or that racist or bowing to France for climate change and making sure that we keep our carbon footprint as small as possible. We're not playing any of your games anymore.
Right.
And that's why the left is so apoplectic. That's why Trump derangement syndrome is so huge, because they go, wait a minute. I need you to play along with my games. I need you to recognize that you're evil and slavery and you stole everything from the Indians. If you take that away, I got nothing.
Yeah.
And we're saying, you got nothing.
Well, I think this is kind of a theme today. The ingratitude is a really crippling problem, and you see that from the left. A good example would be a parent wanting to teach their son, hey, when your dog dies, when grandpa, it's okay to cry. You want to teach them, it's okay for a young man to cry when it's appropriate. But then they have a teacher going, no, it's okay to cry whenever. So you can't bestow the grace upon the kid, letting him know when it's appropriate, this is okay, because all bets are off from the left. Just well, hold on a second, Daddy will give you a cookie. And the left goes, there should be only cookies all meals all the time. And then there's no grace.
And we're importing that culture too. I call them immigrates, where these immigrants come here and they won't shut up about how much this country sucks. And you go, You're wrong, and it's way better than your. Like that woman who climbed the Statue of Liberty, she's from the Congo.
Yeah.
You know what's going on in the Congo?
White
I'm not sure I
gorillas.
can say it on your show, but soldiers are making children rape their mothers.
Well, you just did.
They were beheading dozens of their enemy and putting the heads in a giant pile. Then she comes here and she goes, "This place is barbaric." Oh, really?
It's like, yeah.
How about a thank you?
How about you go back to the place that made the worst movie of all time? White gorillas, really, with laser guns? I've had enough of this. No, but I think you're absolutely. The only reason I remember that film was because I looked forward to it so much. I had all the cups and stuff at Burger King and the watches, and Congo was so bad. All right, you know what? We do have to get going here really soon. Not Gay Jared is going to be on Gavin McInnes' show this weekend at Gavin_McInnes, and people can sign up at CRTV, right, Gavin?
Yes, that is the case.
Where's your mug? I thought you had a mug.
Oh, it didn't catch on as well as someone else's mug, so I kind of let it fall by the wayside.
All right, we'll fix that in post. Gavin, thank you very much. Hope you've had your shots. Not Gay Jared's coming your way. We'll wrap this up after this.
I like more than a friend.
And now for Hopper Proverbs, sponsored exclusively by Mug Club.
It is said that tall fences make friendly neighbors, unless your neighbor is a squirrel, because they can crawl on the fence and then I want to chase them, but they can stay up on the fence. And those guys are dicks.
Stay tuned for more Hopper Proverbs, sponsored by Mug Club.
That's called the medium rare. Just the classic drowning dance, because when you have such a fine cut of meat, sometimes you don't need to doctor it up.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just go with the classic drowning dance.
This is called. There's still
blood.
on my
There's still
hands, so I'm
blood
pushing
from
all the wrong buttons.
Blame Mamma Mia.
Yep.
Blame the Mamma Mia. Well, we're good though, right?
Good though.
We have Daniel. Thank you. I hope we have him back on the show.
Hope so too.
And Gavin McInnes. Yeah, go watch Daniel Cormier fight. It's like a bat out of hell / little black ball of hate. He looks very, very angry when he fights. He really is a sight to behold. And man, doing that at 39 years old, that's pretty inspirational.
One thing I noticed is kind of a funny trend of all of the MMA and UFC fighters you've had on the show. None of them are like jerks off air. You would think those are like the most toxic, patriarchal people on the planet, but they're always just the most down to earth, really nice. Guys you'd feel very comfortable being around. They're not the guys, you're the bullies on the playground.
Well, with the exception of a couple, they tended to be, they were people who were bullied.
Yeah.
Georges St. Pierre was bullied. He talked about it. I don't know if Daniel Cormier has talked about that so much, but a lot of lighter weight classes, a lot of these guys were bullied. They're not people who like to wield power uselessly. When was the last time you heard about Daniel Cormier beating up someone who was smaller than him?
I would like to see that.
Yeah, well, he does it professionally.
Professionally.
Except they're usually bigger than him. But typically speaking, the ego is in check.
Would be nice.
It's kind of, you know what it is? It's kind of like, you're so exhausted when you've had such a productive day. You're so exhausted. You don't have the energy to be mad. You know what I mean?
Yeah, or like if you do music for a living, last thing you want to do is like go home and just fiddle around for your own pleasure.
Well, no, I don't mean it in that way. I mean in the sense that they've expended all of their egotistical energy in the gym, getting their asses kicked by other people who are better than them, knowing their role, that by the time they come home, all of that ego is out of them. They've had it beaten out of them. It does happen. That's why I say it's good for everyone to take up something new that you're not good at.
Yep.
Take it up, try it, challenge yourself. I talk about that all the time. And then something else I really appreciate how candid he was about his anxiety. Because you've heard, me before shows, I've always been that way. Even when we did SMU, we had, thousands of people, and I just thought, oh my gosh, what's going to go wrong? It's just the nature of it's how I am. Some people don't feel that way. So I don't think it helps.
Especially with our show, because there's just so many more things that can go wrong.
Yes, so many things that can go wrong.
most regular comedians.
Like the insurance rider not going through.
Like that one.
For the several $100,000 worth of equipment. That was a big deal. But
life insurance not coming through for you.
But there's a big difference between gratitude and false humility. And you see a guy like him, he talks about how grateful he is to his family. He's not just blowing smokes and my family has made me great. My team has made me great.
Thanks to the guy upstairs kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly. He means it. And he's not saying, well, I'm okay. But no, he's like, I'm the baddest man on the planet. But you know what? It's because of these people. And that really is, when I talk about gratitude, and I've talked about this a lot, I will tell you my entire life changes when I'm living in gratitude. So when a couple of them have been pretty some tough love at the end of this program, and so like, well, can you go back to, okay, here's something that everyone can do, and it will change your life. Gratitude. And I mean it in a very practical way. Being ungrateful closes doors. Being grateful opens doors. And I'll give you some very specific examples so you can understand it. But I told this story a while back, and it resonated with some people. Grace is something that I think a lot of people don't understand today. I talked about this when I was a kid. My parents took us to Toys R Us. Remember where it was? It was across from the Panama bus station in Brossard, next to Check Swing, where there was a guy who looked like the real-life Simpsons comic book, worst film ever. He looked just like him, and it was a comic book store. So we went to this Toys R Us store, and my parents, it must have been a budget of $15 each, I think. $10, $15, you can pick out a toy, my brother and I. And we went in, and what did we get? We got creepy crawlers. We pooled together to get creepy crawlers. We thought this is going to be the commercials. Remember, they're squirmy and wormy and creepy and green. And then Dad had it on his rocking chair. Ah! Look it up, and the kid's like, got him. I wanted so badly to put a spider on my dad and him to go, ah!
So, were those translated into French for you growing up? Did you ever watch those in French? Because I think that would be entertaining. I want to see that.
I don't know. They probably did exist.
It sounds sadder for some reason, I think.
French, they tend to be really over the top. So I don't know how you over the top a kid's commercial.
Yeah, that's why I'm so curious.
Maybe the dad would have been a transgender. I don't know. That's how they would have done it. But so we left with the creepy crawlers, and we were so excited. We were thrilled. And I still feel bad about this to this day. I know my dad and my mom are watching. They may not remember, but I felt really, really bad about it. So we went back to our car, and we found out we just had the molds. We didn't have the machine. So it must have been $15, because I remember the machine very specifically was $49.99. I remember that. And they had to take us back in and return it because we couldn't make, they're just the molds, because we couldn't afford the creepy crawlers machine. Yeah. Now, we had some periods in our life where we did really well, and we had some periods of life when I look back that, my parents struggled and I didn't maybe understand it or fully appreciate it. This would have been one of those times. And I remember going back in and being a brat, being upset. Can't we get the listen, if they could have gotten me the creepy crawlers, I'm sure they would have. And we had to go back.
To screw you.
No, they weren't. They were. Here's the thing. I was being a spoiled little jackass, and they were already being gracious. They were being gracious and taking me to Toys R Us to get me a toy. They didn't have to do that, but because I wanted something more and I wasn't grateful, they didn't want to do that for me. Do you think after that I got more trips to Toys R Us or less? Probably less for a good. I went through a dry spell there. Looking back, now I know why. I remember
cold showers.
I remember. Here's something else too. I went back in and we had to get Stretch Armstrong, and he had a wiener dog. I don't remember his name, but they were mini ones because we couldn't afford the big Stretch Armstrong, and mine broke right away. The Stretch Armstrong, the arms just tore right off. But my brother, our producer, Johnny Boy, I grew up with in high school when we met him, junior high. He saw the wiener dog toy because it became one of our favorite toys. Stretch Armstrong's little wiener dog toy. It would stretch out and it was really cool, and it was a wiener dog, so it was funny. All the jokes.
Yep.
And if we'd have had our way, if we'd have had what we deserved, we would have never experienced a toy that ended up being creepy crawlers, came and went, and that wiener dog was in the house until my brother went to college, I believe. But think about that. Sometimes grace is more than you deserve. And if you're ungrateful for it, man, do you close the door. You see, like the teachers' unions. What if we want 20%? What if they were willing to give you 8? Do you think they're more likely or less likely to help you? When you have an attitude that is ungrateful, I will tell you this all the time. How often have you had friends or family who you help out because you want to? Mm-hmm. I think we actually know, we've talked about this, but then you have the friend, the family member, who always wants something from you.
Yeah.
Do you want to help him?
Not as much.
Not as much. No. You're probably giving him less than the people who aren't asking it.
Yeah, it's not about justice at that point. It's just it's the natural reaction of your heart inside that says like, no, right. You just gotta close that door a little bit.
And the point is with if you want to receive grace, and we learn this as Christians, right? If you want to receive grace, you have to be grateful first off, right? And it's something that the person receiving the grace doesn't get to dictate the terms of the grace. We said tolerance isn't enough. I want you to promote my lifestyle. Listen. I'm fine with you doing what you want to do, but I'm not going to put your flag up. Well, I'm going to champion my cause in the Senate. Do you think I think you're more of a dick or less? You think you're helping your cause? This is what happens. You overreach. You're not grateful for what you have. Take your pick. People do not want to help you. It closes doors, and you'll never know. That's the worst part, is you'll never know that the doors are closed. You could take, I don't know, some people out there, we have a lot of young people who listen. You have the teachers unions. Maybe there's someone else. You go in and you want a raise. Great. Most bosses aren't looking to screw you. So you go in and you have a boss who wants to give you a 15% raise, but you ask for 60. Now, I'm using an absurd example. No one goes and asks for a 60% raise. Let's call it 30. And the boss goes,
I was feeling a little emboldened.
Yeah. Okay, 60. Let's call it 45. The boss will sit back and go, wow, I was really excited to give that kid the creepy crawlers. I was really excited to give him a Stretch Armstrong. But instead, because he's ungrateful and demanded more, now I'm going to give him nothing. That happens more often than you know, and you cannot know. But what I do know is when I wake up, and I do every day, gratitudes. The first thing I do is, even when I was very unhealthy, thank you for the relative health that I do have. I am grateful for this house. I am grateful for my wife. I am grateful for my family. I am grateful for the support of friends. I am grateful for the meal bars that I eat in the morning that only have 4 ingredients. They're hard to chew, but they're delicious and nutritious. I am grateful for those, all those little things, and it changes my life. You will have better relationships with your wife, with your family. You will do better in the workplace. You will find people react to you differently. I'm not saying change your personality, but if you can add that facet to your personality, gratitude, it makes all the difference, because then everyone else wants to bestow grace upon you. When you're an ungrateful little pissant, nobody wants to. It's like the spoiled kid at the party. No one wants them. The kid who's great, the kid who's a lot of fun. Everyone's like, hey, high-fiving your kid's great. Let me have him on my knee. Give him a little nip of scotch. That's what my grandfather did with me. He couldn't stand other kids because they wouldn't drink the scotch, because they were not grateful for the fine liquor that my grandpapa Armand on my maternal side would bestow upon me. That's the lesson. Be grateful and drink your damn scotch.
It only takes